So just a forward, my RPC is kind of like, or like my providers is kind of like shit themselves this morning. Don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, that's kind of not functional. Just kind of happened actually after the build code call this morning, but I can go ahead and share my screen and kind of show what I have so far. So let me just like pull it up real quick. But in general, PublicGoods.Party is definitely coming along very nicely. We're so close to having like a viable testing as far as like creating grants, donating grants, as well as creating grant rounds and kind of integrating the whole QF thing into it, as well as like the grant round work payouts. We're like right there. There's just kind of a few things I need to wrap up on my end before we can properly test it within Moonshot. But it's definitely made a lot of progress and was actually like quite a bit more challenging than I was anticipating. But I guess that's just how it goes. I think I should be able to share my entire screen here. All right, so we're gonna get a little bit of that. Let me just make sure this is all going well. So as far as this goes, kind of behind the scenes, I'm kind of getting this error encounter while fetching public networks. Not really exactly sure why that is. But basically, kind of like the whole idea here, right, is we have Scaffold running a fork of D grants that allows users to, do D grants things, create their grants, allow users to donate to grants, etc. So kind of what we have so far is obviously we have, a minimum viable grant creator, which you can go ahead and, create grants. So let's say like, title, this is a cool grant. Description, doesn't really matter. We can have websites, we can go to gitcoin.co. And as well as it declares, an owner address and a payee address. This payee address is the person who's going to be receiving the funds from donations, from like strict donations. So if somebody were to donate a grant $5, that grant or those $5 would go to this payee address, and the owner address can update this metadata, and I believe also the payee address. And you look at it specifically there. We can go ahead and try and submit it. Hope it works. At some point along here, these RPC endpoints are going to fail. And we can go ahead and see over here at the grant view. So we can see grants as they're made. We can do another one. Doesn't really matter. And we can now make another one. And so these are getting pinned to IPFS behind the scenes. So these are using my Pinata API, which is pinning the metadata for the actual grant behind the scenes. That way, it's all storing it within the actual grant struct within the grant registry contract. And then, we have like a super skeleton out version so we can kind of see what's going on. So we can read the grant title, description, website. So that way we can kind of make sure all the metadata is loading correctly here. And then kind of we have the donation functionality. So again, right now, super stripped back, super skeleton-y. You can input a grant ID. So over here within the grant registry, we have a couple different grants. We have 2 grants right now. And so we can go ahead and donate to, let's say, grant ID 2. And kind of like the way that this works is I actually have a nice little drawing right here. So we have this grant registry contract, which is its own standalone thing that stores all of the grant IDs as well as the grant metadata and the grant owners, etc. And then we also have the grant round manager contract. So basically, this actually, that's incorrect. But anyway, the grant round manager is effectively how funds are transferred from a donation, let's say, to the actual grant. And it also has to do with this idea of grant rounds. Let me kind of take one moment to just organize my thoughts and think about this. Because so obviously the documentation for D grants wasn't a whole lot. So I have, I like successfully managed to kind of like break down everything that it does. But I think I've said like, aha, I finally get it, like 3 different times. So I think this one I actually finally get it as far as how all the contracts are interacting with each other. But anyway, so the grant round, you declare what kind of donation token that you want your donations to be accepted in. So this could be USDC, this could be Gitcoin, the actual token for Gitcoin. This could be, any ERC20 token that you want your donations to be in. And then when a user goes to donate to one of these, he can either donate directly that type of token, or it'll automatically get swapped when they try and make that donation and say something else. So let's say within our grants, we want all of our matching, or we want all of our donations to be in USDC. and somebody tries to donate wrapped ETH, we automatically route and then swap their tokens behind the scenes. So that way, all of the donations are in a single token type, and so that way, it's all uniform, etc. Behind here, we are getting the routes from Uniswap v3 and kind of how we're going to swap the input token to the actual final donation token, ratios, etc. And then the grant round creator, we can start grant rounds. So kind of how this works is it creates a new instance of this grant round contract. The grant round contract declares a matching token, which is for the QF stuff at the end. So at the end of a grant round, kind of how the funds are then matched for all the donations that they received is going to be in this matching token. And kind of how this works is whenever the grant round finishes, we refer to this calc.ts file, which calculates the proper distribution based off of the votes and the amount of, or not the votes, I guess, but the amount of donations that a grant has, and then spits out a Merkle root, or basically you create a Merkle tree for all of the grants, and kind of how many tokens that they should get from this. And then once the grant round is over, it sends these matching tokens, which you deposit into this instance of grant round, to this Merkle grant payout thing. That's not properly implemented yet. And this is also kind of where the functionality starts degrading as far as my RPC endpoints, because I don't think that we can even donate to a grant as of right now. But that's kind of just, I guess, progress update there. Does anyone have any questions, anything not make sense there? Or I guess, I kind of went fast and also didn't really stop for questions. So if anybody needs any other explanations, please let me know.
Do you mind just linking that doc so that I can check it out async? I may have more questions after reviewing, but strong work, excited to see it.
Sounds good. You mean like the actual, like this one?
Just the diagram, yeah.
Okay, the diagram, yeah, I can send you that. Yeah, then besides that, hopefully I can figure out that RPC nonsense today, and then also finish up everything. We're very, very close. I'm very excited to test it with everyone. But that's all I have for right now.
Nice. That was awesome, Alex. Thank you.